Welcome back, geometry students. This is Mr. Butterbaugh here with you for Notes 5.2, point slope form. Point slope form is another type of equation, or another form of an equation we can use to graph points and understand what the graph looks like. It's very versatile though, as you'll see that we'll do today. So as we talk about point slope form, we're a given point slope form here, and there's a couple things we can find from this. The form is y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. All right, we should already know what the m stands for. M stands for slope. We've seen that before. Now the y and the x, just the y by itself and the x by itself, are the same thing like in slope-intercept form. They don't change. But this y1 here and the x1 is where we have our point, the coordinates, right? Hence the name, point slope form. If you're ever given a point and you're given a slope and then say, hey, write an equation, you can do it in this form, point slope form. All right, so example number 1, writing equations. It says, write the equation of a line containing the points 2, -3, and 4, -2. Now, I can write this in point slope form. Our first step is to find the slope, and we should remember how to find slope between 2 points. That slope, cursive m, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we can do that with these points. I've got my x1, y1, I've got my x2, y2. So to subtract the y's, I've got -2 minus a -3. And yes, some people say, well, isn't that just adding? Yes, but I leave it like this just to avoid confusion. We can do that eventually. x2 minus x1, I've got 4 minus 2. Again, 2 minus a -3 is like -2 plus 3. So -2 plus 3 is +1, and 4 minus 2 is 2. So there's my slope. I have that to use. Now I need to pick a point. Which point do you use? It does not matter. So I'm just going to pick 2, -3. Now that I have a point and I have a slope, I can write it in point slope form. Yes, the name does bring us right to that. So remember what point slope form is. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. All right, so just fill it in. The y stays there. My y1 is the y coordinate from my point that I chose, so that's -3, equals my m, which is my slope, 1/2. In parentheses, x stays there, minus my x1 coordinate, which is 2. And step 4 is to convert this into slope-intercept form. Remember what slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. All right, so I'm going to take this equation, and what I want to do is get y all by itself. Solve for this y here, get that all by itself. So first thing is I want to distribute my parentheses. Make sure you get rid of parentheses first. So I've got y minus a -3 is like y plus 3. And that equals 1/2 x. I distribute the 1/2 to the x. And then distribute the 1/2 to -2. 1/2 times -2 is -1. Now, very simply, I can take this, get this y by itself. I subtract 3 from both sides. Cancels out there. So I've got y equals the 1/2 x doesn't change. And I've got 1 minus 3 is -4. Remember, I'm going to subtract the 3 from the number here. I wouldn't subtract 3 from the 1/2 x. That doesn't make sense. So there's my equation. Y equals 1/2 x minus 4. And I can graph that. I can do anything with that I need to. All right, here's example 2. What I want you to do is pause the video and solve this one out into an equation in slope-intercept form using point slope form. Then replay the video and check your answer. All right, so first thing I do is find my slope. So my slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I can find that, subtract the y's, -4 minus a -1, and then over -6 minus 3. -4 minus -1 is like plus 1, so -4 plus 1 is -3. And then -6 minus 3 is -9. A negative divided by negative is a positive, and 3 over 9 is 1/3. So there's my slope, 1/3. Then I'm going to pick a point. Well, I'm going to take my point 3, -1. Why? Just because it's first there. So my form, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Fill it in. Y minus the y1 is -1 equals my slope, 1/3. then x minus 3. Distribute the 1/3 first, so I've got y plus 1 equals 1/3 x, and then the 1/3 times -3 will get me -1. Now subtract 1 from both sides. Y equals 1/3 x minus 2. There's my equation. Just for illustration's sake, I want to take this and also use my other coordinate here, -6, -4, and see what happens. Well, I'm going to have y minus the y coordinate, -4, equals the slope, 1/3, parentheses, x minus my x coordinate, -6. So y plus 4 equals 1/3, and then 1/3 times +6, this becomes a positive here. 1/3 times +6 is +2. Subtract 4 from both sides. So I'm left with y equals 1/3 x plus 2 minus 4 is -2. Look at that, exact same equation, so it does not matter which point you choose. Again, the purpose of doing this in point-slope form is to eventually go to parallel and perpendicular lines. It's our direction we're going towards, but we first need to understand what is point-slope form. Make sure you get this. Please fill out your WSQ. Have a great day.